Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Day After podcast. I'll be honest with you, the night sleep didn't do much because I woke up and I was still fired up. I had a full show on 97.3 ESPN and I was fired up during that. And now I come home and guess what? I am pissed off and disgusted with everything that went down against the Dallas Cowboys. It's just so hard for me to personally comprehend how Carson Wentz and Doug Pederson could be so pathetic against such a garbage football team in the Dallas Cowboys. Now, we are broadcasting live from the outstanding Manscaped Man Cave. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BROD at manscaped.com. I am so annoyed with Carson Wentz afterwards saying he's still going to be aggressive. That's who he is as a player. Well, that's what is crushing this football team, Carson Wentz. How is this not going through your brain? How do you not see yourself fail play after play after play when trying to be a hero? This is not the FCS anymore, where you can go through these teams in JMU and play hero football, where you can escape the pocket. You're so much more athletic than everybody else, so you can throw 60-yard bombs. That's not how it operates in the NFL. These guys, they're more athletic than you. They will find ways to beat you, and that's exactly what's happening. And also, you're beating yourself because when you're trying to play hero ball, you're getting hit, you're fumbling the football, you're putting the ball in horrendous areas. I mean, it's so hard to think that Carson Wentz goes to the NovaCare complex every day. They sit there and they watch film, and he's okay. It feels like he is delusional. It feels like he believes that he can just work himself out of that jam by continuing to make the same mistakes over and over and over again, and that's what kills me inside. And on top of that, the head coach and Doug Pederson, is he doing enough? Is Press Taylor doing enough? I mean, I think it's fair to say the answer is no, considering the results that we get week in and week out. Something needs to change. DeFilippo, it was very recognized that he was so brutal and hard on Carson Wentz, but you got the better results. You got a quarterback that was making the right plays, that was more prepared for individual situations on the field, like specific plays. He knew what to do in those moments. Now, you just have nothing, and it almost feels like this coaching staff is allowing Carson to do it. Now, do you put a lot of blame on the coaching staff at that point, or do you look at Carson Wentz and you say, dude, I don't care how many times you're told, you should know as an NFL quarterback, you can't roll to the left side of the pocket and get worked and think that you're going to make a play when that play had no business of being successful. There was no one even close to an area that you rolling to the left and holding on to the ball would have been a good idea. Live for another play. He should know that. So I'm torn because the coaching staff clearly needs to go up to Carson Wentz and show him some sort of accountability. You need to be accountable for your actions. You can't just allow Carson to turn the football over 4 times against that trash football organization on the other side. And with Doug, I mean, come on, running the football is effective. That team can't stop the run. They can't. It's simple. It's not rocket science. They can't. Look at the numbers. They don't know how. Yet when Boston Scott is getting decent amount of yards and he's getting some chunk plays, 7 yards per carry, a 1.9 yards per carry, I mean, they were moving the rock. Let's go away from it. And then the 4th and 1 calls, and it was a nightmare. What we sat through was a nightmare. And in this league, you should be okay with some ugly losses. You are allowed to accept some ugly losses because that's the nature of NFL seasons. Teams have ugly losses, but a win is a win. But that one, it's so hard to win games and feel this low about it, to feel so awful about a win. I don't know if it's possible to feel this bad about it. Seriously. It's almost impossible. Yet here we are. And now I don't know what Doug Pederson is. I don't know what Carson Wentz is. Those are the 2 most important positions in football. A quarterback and a head coach. The philosophy and game plan out of Doug Pederson sucked, and Carson Wentz sucked. Sucked! And I feel he's not getting it. That's what bothers me the most. He's not understanding how bad he was and what he needs to change. How do you not see it? You shouldn't be throwing 60-yard bombs. But I asked Andrew Jacheco this of Inside the Birds. We have a segment at 4 o'clock every day on the Sports Bash called Football at 4, because I was a little going back and forth a bit in my mind. Is that Doug Pederson saying, let's go and throw the ball so far, let's try and get these big explosive plays, thinking that was the way to beat up on the Cowboys who can't stop anything? Was that the mindset and the game plan and the blueprint? Let's throw these big bombs. Rager double-teamed in the end zone. Hightower with all this win. Let's go and do that, because that will put this team in the best position to win. Or is that Carson saying, I'm going to be a hero and I'm going to show off my arm? Which one is it? No matter which one it is, let's say it's not Doug Pederson and it's just Carson making poor decisions. That doesn't give Doug Pederson any benefit of the doubt, because he was horrible in so many other areas of the game. But I do wonder, who has more to blame in those scenarios? Was that what Doug Pederson wanted? Or was that what Carson Wentz likes to do? So he said, screw it, I'm going to do it anyway. But there's a mental block involved from both parties. From Doug Pederson, there's a mental block from a calling a game standpoint. And from Carson, when it comes to learning that you will not win every down, there is a mental block as well. And it is just so irritating. Now, we have a lot of anytime hotline calls. The phone number is 856-442-9805. You can react to the game still. You can call in, leave a message, and I will utilize these phone calls throughout the week as we talk more about the Birds. But let's get some instant reactions. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of individuals fired up. What I did was, when you call, I sent them to our producer, Josh Henning, who does a phenomenal job at 97.3, and he chopped them up. He edited them out a bit, and if there were some curse words, he did what he needed to do, because I also play these on 97.3 ESPN as well on the air. So your voice can be heard, not just here on Sports Talk with Brodes, but on the radio as well. All right, let's start these bad boys off.
That might have been the most unsatisfying 2-touchdown victory. I don't even know how you even come out of this game feeling. Carson, you need to be better. Doug, you need to be better. O-line, you need to be better. The defense played very well. I mean, part of that was just because the Cowboys' offense is no better than a Division III high school team. But they dropped multiple interceptions, too. They were beating themselves. The entire team was shooting themselves in the foot. Yeah, I'll take the win. A win's a win. I'll take it, whatever. But this was a really ugly game.
Wow, that sigh at the end almost just explains the story. It's tiring. It takes a lot out of you, because this football team is just flat out unacceptable. And like I said, it's hard to win a game and feel this down about the team. But here's reality. They are god-awful, and I don't think that it's changing anytime soon. That optimism that I had about getting healthier, Rager and Dallas Goedert and the offensive line coming together. If your two top dogs are this bad, it doesn't matter. And Dallas Goedert played 84% of the snaps, and the tight end is your safety blanket, yet he had one reception. And his first target was in the third quarter? I mean, how is that possible? This is a position where when Carson Wentz feels that there's a lot of stress on him, when he's struggling a bit, that's the area of the field that he elects to go to. Richard Rodgers, he played about 24% of the snaps, and he just came off of a big-time game. You're telling me the tight end position as a whole wasn't targeted at all? Once again, is that a Carson Wentz issue? Is that a game plan problem? Doug Pederson and Carson Wentz, they are together. So you do need to combine both when having a conversation of the issues with this team offensively. The fact that they could only produce the amount of points that they produced on this defense, it's flat out miserable. It's devastating. Now, the caller mentioned the defense. TJ Edwards stood out. Brandon Graham stood out. Fletcher Cox stood out. But it's hard to really know when Ben DiNucci is the one trying to make plays. When the Cowboys have to go with the philosophy offensively, hey, let's just try a bunch of crap because we can't do anything. Let's go Wildcat. Let's do this. Let's do that. That's what the Cowboys needed to do because they were so desperate. When Doug Pederson is drawing up these plays, putting Carson Wentz at wide receiver, having Jalen Hurts play quarterback, like it's embarrassing that is the time that you are trying it. You don't need to do that. You don't need to. That's not the time. There is a time where that is valid. When you're going up against the team that allows over 20 points per game in the first half, I don't see why you need to overthink the offensive game plan. Allow Boston Scott to run. Hell, Corey Clement was getting some good yards. Let them run the ball. Until it stops, don't stop. But you know how Doug Pederson operates. He has no feel for a game. And it's wild that here we are talking about Doug Pederson and Carson Wentz as if they know nothing about NFL football. And I think it's reasonable to make that statement because what they have shown you throughout this season, come on, it defends the statement that they might not know a lot about NFL football. No?
Dwayne from Richmond, California calling in. I had to calm down before I called you because I almost called you screaming and stuff. Wentz played like garbage. We all know he played like garbage. Doug play calling is horrendous. I'm pounding the table for how we'd assign Bo Scarborough, him and Sanders 1-2 punch we need it. We need teams to be able to bite on the run. They don't bite on the run for us. So the play action really doesn't work. Schwartz, I'm going to give him game ball today. And, a win is a win. So, I'm going to take it anywhere I can get it.
Hey, a win is a win, and Jim Schwartz gets the game ball. I would have never thought in a million years somebody in Philadelphia would admit Jim Schwartz had a good game. Not that you can put too much stock into it based off the opponent, but it's just shocking. I said this on the post-game pod. 4 minutes into the game, I'm getting tweets saying, how the hell can you possibly defend Jim Schwartz? They had a field goal. They only allowed 3 field goals as a whole. Am I missing something? Relax. It was a feel-out for Jim Schwartz in that first series, and he figured it out big time, and they couldn't move the damn rock whatsoever. With Doug Pederson, when you're going to go for it on 4th down, knowing you're in an area where you're going to go for it, whether I believe it's a smart decision or not, based off the fact that Ben DiNucci can't move the football at all, so why not try and pin them back, force them to then punt, and then play a field advantage type game, right? So if you're in an area where you punt the ball, pin them deep, and then you get a stop 3 and out, let's say, or let's say they even get 1 first down and you force them to punt, then you're going to get good field position once again. Sometimes it's not all about going for it on every 4th and short possible, but if you know you're going to go for it on 4th and short, why on 3rd down are you trying to throw the football? Why on 3rd down are you coming up with these bad plays? That makes no sense. Run it. And if you get the first down, then fine. By all means, then you have the first down. But if you get stopped, then you have your opportunity on 4th if you're a little bit closer, whatever the case may be. But Doug lacks brain cells, and he's always been a bit confusing with these play calls. And all of these new coaches, whether it's a passing game coordinator, a running game coordinator, it hasn't been even close to the slightest help whatsoever when it comes to this team. And I think last year, we all screamed about Mike Groh this, Mike Groh that. Mike Groh, was the offense better looking with Mike Groh than what it is now? I think it's very possible to say at times, yeah. At times, yeah, you know what? And that's pretty embarrassing to say, but that's reality. And then you can say, well, is that because of Carson Wentz? And sometimes when you start moving all these people and you fire all these individuals and you bring new ones in and results are similar, then you got to start drilling the guy that's still there. What's the common denominator? Well, the answer is Doug Pederson and Carson Wentz. So just something to think about.
Just watched this Eagles-Cowboys game, and I have no idea what I just watched. That game was an absolute embarrassment from both teams. Carson Wentz was terrible. The Cowboys just looked so lifeless, and honestly never seen a team like this before. It was just pathetic. The fact that we let the Eagles let them run all over us for after the game, but didn't get anything out of it it's just ridiculous. I don't even know how to feel right now.
And I think that's the perfect way to describe it. See, I would feel differently. Holy hell, that is a spider crawling down the middle of... Do you see that? Look at this thing. What the hell? If you're listening to this on YouTube and you see the visual, what in the hell? Get out of here. Oh my Lord, that scared the hell out of me. Look, I can see the web. Wow. All right, I got to get back on track. Where was I? That's hard to get over. I'm crumbling the paper. I'll throw it in the trash when this episode's over. I don't even know how to operate right now. Get it together, Brodes. Where was I? Ah, yes. He doesn't know how to feel. The caller doesn't know how to feel. I think that's the right way, though. That's the right way to feel. Not knowing. Being so stunned. Being so shocked that you're confused with your emotions. You should feel frustrated, irritated, confused. It would be different if this isn't the right way to kind of look at the game. Like, it is now the day after. It was horrible. It was ugly. It was such an embarrassing effort, and you don't know what your quarterback is. There's a huge question mark on the most important pieces to an NFL franchise. I don't see how you feel any other way than confused. Carson Wentz and the decisions that he made, the fact that I hear him speak afterwards and he says he's going to keep that mentality, keep that aggressive mentality. Carson, sometimes you got to acknowledge that there are issues in your game. There are flaws in your game. And same with Doug Pederson. I would have loved to hear both of them go, you know what, we did get the win. A win is a win in this league, but I am so disappointed in ourselves. If I'm Doug Pederson, I feel like I would say, I got to be better. I flat out have to be better instead of hearing him going back and forth with media members, being a bit snippy about his job security. I mean, I feel he thinks way too much about what others are saying, what's being reported from the media. Shut up, Doug. Who cares about it? Who cares about what's being said? Focus on doing a better job. Focus on preparing this team. Focus on putting down a blueprint that makes sense. How many times earlier in the season did I mention the fact that when other teams play the Eagles, they target Nate Gerry over and over and over again because that's their weakness? When was the last time the Eagles attacked an opponent's weakness? When? To the point where it is so noticeable, where it's to an extreme. Like, damn, they just can't stop them. Keep attacking. Keep attacking. This is one of those defenses where you can do it. Now, they're not great when it comes to stopping the pass, and the Eagles did pass the ball at times and go for the long ball and all, but like that's a philosophy that isn't needed. That's unnecessary. That's called not having feel, not properly understanding. You don't need to do that. And when it's a day where the weather comes into play, let's not act as if that doesn't matter to this conversation. That's context that is very valuable. The winds are explosive. They're obnoxious. They're blowing the ball everywhere. There's a reason why when Carson tried to throw the ball over 20 yards, there was an issue and it wasn't relating in success. If you're seeing that something isn't working, stop trying to force it. There are other ways to be successful, and Doug Pederson and Carson Wentz just, I guess, didn't really understand that.
Wow, that was ugly football. Where to begin? Carson Wentz was piss poor tonight. Bad interceptions, bad fumbles. I mean, not throwing the ball away. Travis Fulgham, I mean, this kid's a stud. Jalen Reagor came back. He played pretty well tonight. I'm looking forward to see more of him. The defense played pretty well as well. I mean, I can't really judge them off of a game like this. But I will say TJ Edwards played very well tonight. Double-digit tackle, the sack. He played great. You know, Nathan Garrett, you can leave. You don't have to. You can stay on IR if you want. You don't have to come back.
Yeah, it's a lot different when you have somebody who isn't bad like Nate Gerry. Now, I'm not going to tell you TJ Edwards is some stud based off of what we saw, but TJ Edwards definitely was explosive, and he deserves praise for the way that he played after coming back from the injury. Fulgham, I wanted to pull this stat up. I like that you mentioned Fulgham. So this is from Ruben Frank of NBC Sports Philadelphia. Travis Fulgham, since Week 4, which is when he started playing, he has more yards than George Kittle, T. Higgins, Robbie Anderson, Stephon Diggs, Julio Jones, Allen Robinson, Travis Kelce, DK Metcalf, and TJ Moore. And you saw all those clips last night of him beating defenders off the line of scrimmage and using his body, using his footwork to be able to beat these defenders. Not that these defenders are elite by any means, considering I've been ripping apart this Cowboys defense for the last couple of days and realistically all week long as it is, but he is legit. It's just that simple. It is legit. And it's kind of concerning that this Eagles organization, they do find steals. They do find guys. They find guys like Greg Ward, Fulgham, TJ Edwards. They are able to bring players in like this. Corey Clement, the year of the Super Bowl. How do you miss so many times on the ones where you have way higher of a percentage? Like, I got to give them credit for finding these players. You can't just not give them credit whatsoever because there is a consistent theme there. But then you look at when you have a high percentage of all these studs out of the SEC and Big Ten, and you come out with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. It's hard to rip Stanford, though, because that's where you got Zach Ertz. But I just don't get it. Like, how can you be that inconsistent with finding individuals? I was trying to ask myself, though, when it came to Carson Wentz, which turnover was the worst? Was it the rollout where he got hit first? Was it the fourth down fumble where actually Trey Thomas put out a clip on Twitter where you can see the angle from a different view, and it's from behind Carson Wentz where Van Der Esch came in and got the sack, and people were talking about how the wide open of the field was there, and I definitely saw it as well throughout that moment in the game, and I was freaking out post-game. Seth Joyner brought it up as well, but from the clip behind Carson Wentz, it wasn't like it was very noticeable that it was wide open, and when your offensive line, there was someone who came right in, like, you know, it's a tough situation to be in. I'm not saying that Carson Wentz shouldn't have gotten the ball off, because I still think that if you are prepared enough, you know that play is designed to have something open over the middle. You got to realize that quicker and know that when you're dropping back, like, hey, I'm looking for that area, so you should be kind of, you know, dialed in, and like that's the type of spot I'm trying to go to in the field. And it's tough, but which one was worse? Was it those two? Was it the bomb in the end zone that was picked off in double coverage? Or was it the Hightower one with the wind? I have to think the rollout to the left side was probably the most embarrassing one of them all. I just don't see what he was thinking at all. It wasn't like there was even anything relatively close to being successful with that play call. You just got to toss it away. It's okay to toss it away. Now, I need to let you know about my friends at DraftKings. DraftKings has brought their expertise to legal sports betting. It's a legitimate sports book based right here in the U.S., so you can rest assured that your funds are totally secure. DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is safe, secure, and reliable. Deposit and withdrawal at your convenience. Listen to this deal. All new users have a chance to earn a sign-up bonus up to $1,000. Download the app now and sign up using promo code BRODES, BRODES. Check out all that they have to offer, including player props, live betting, and so much more. If sportsbooks are not yet available in your state, don't forget about the DraftKings Fantasy app, which offers millions of dollars in total prizes every single week. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. I can't believe at the end of the first half it was 9-7. They kicked that, what was it, a 59-yard field goal where it was the ugliest looking field goal attempt in the world, but somehow it finds its way. You see the two refs look at each other, put their hands up. I mean, come on, what a joke of a football team the Eagles are. And seriously, think about how bad the Eagles really played, where your quarterback played worse than any quarterback in the entire week, where he played like the worst game of his entire career, where Doug Pederson called the worst game of his entire career, and you still won by double digits. This was a 23-9 victory where they covered the spread. Now, you can bring up the fact that play where Vinny Curry was on the ground, TJ Edwards got the sack, and Rodney McLeod ran it in for an end zone. Maybe that played a role in the lead looking bigger than what it really was and helping them cover the spread. Here's reality. They won by double digits. There's not many times you win by double digits, and this is the overall vibe afterwards. But once again, this is the right way to feel. It would be different if I thought this wasn't proper. This is proper.
I'm calling from New York, Let me start off by saying I'm not an Eagles or Cowboys fan by any means. That game was ugly to watch for the perspective of an outsider. Now, don't get me wrong, I thought the Eagles defense played great, and even against Ben DiNucci, that type of performance should be applauded. Doug Pederson needs to learn that it's possible to be too aggressive. I hate to do this too, because I still love Carson Wentz and think he's overhated as a player, but that may be the worst game of his career to this point where he was trash. However, big shout out to Travis Fulgham and the Eagles for winning me my fantasy game this week.
So that's why you really cared, the fantasy. You were being selfish with Travis Fulgham and rooting for Carson Wentz to hit him for some touchdowns. And look, I've been someone who has been defending Carson Wentz more so than ripping him apart, because I see when he's at the top of his game, it's unbelievable and it's just as good as anybody else. But this has hit an all-time low for him. He's losing a lot of his supporters, and I think we gave him the benefit of the doubt way more times than not. We always find ways to say, well, this played a role and that played a role. And I do think that that's very reasonable throughout certain situations. It's not always so black and white. It's not always so Carson Wentz failed or Carson Wentz succeeded. The offensive line needs to play well. He needs help with the separation. He needs guys to catch footballs, right? There's so many different variables to why a team succeeds or fails when there's 53 men on a roster. But after games like this, I mean, there's just no hiding it. There's no sugarcoating it. He flat out played abysmal football, piss poor football. And what's the trajectory right now? You haven't seen this, all right? So out of the 8 games so far, you probably saw 4 horrendous, ugly, vomit-worthy football games out of Wentz. He's been in the league now. This is his 5th season. You haven't seen anything close to this throughout. Yeah, had ugly moments, some plays where he's missed receivers and his accuracy has been a problem throughout, but it hasn't been to this level where you're talking about the worst quarterback in the entire league. So what do you do with this information? Do you think that he finds a way out of it, considering 90% of his career has not been this, or do you think this is who he truly is? And I'm starting to feel, based off of his mentality and how he's not backing off of the way that he plays, that he thinks that this can be effective and isn't realizing that he's going to have to change his ways. And I look at the coaching and I say, well, you're going to have to implement that and drive it into his brain as much as possible. And if he continues to not get it, well, then at some point you are going to have to move on. But it really is incredible to think about where we are in the journey that we've been on with Carson Wentz and what he was once with this organization and where he is now. Night and day from what you saw out of 2017 and the worst quarterback ever. I mean, you're talking, what are we talking here? Nathan Peterman? Oh, that's not right. Did I need to do that? Did I really need to do that? You can argue it's sort of like that with the interceptions. It's embarrassing.
Kind of knew this after we beat the Niners. I was like, hey, let's not get too excited. They were a banged-up Niners team. I mean, beating Dallas barely. I mean, that game was pathetic to even watch. It was a joke that we didn't drop a 40-burger on the Cowboys. After the bye, this team will get exposed for who they really are when we start playing some other contenders like the Saints and Packers. Gonna be a bumpy ride, bros, but let's buckle up, baby. Let's go, Birds.
It's like you're accepting it. Like, here we go. Let's go on this miserable journey together, and let's just accept it. Yeah, after the bye, I mean, you have the Giants, which I can't believe it. With how bad this team is, if they could just win their division game, that's how bad this division is. I don't know if anyone is truly comprehending how disgustingly terrible the NFC East really is, but the fact that this Eagles team, the Eagles team that we saw last night, is leading the division, and if they take care of business against the division, they are going to host a playoff game, that is absolutely wild. It might come down to that Washington football game at the end of the season, because I feel Washington has an opportunity to actually snag it if the Eagles continue to play the way that they do. You know, they can fall one of these games. They could fall to the Giants or fall to the Cowboys again. It's not impossible, considering that it's very possible that Andy Dalton will be back for that Cowboys game at that time. But regardless, look, when it comes to that bye week, you know, at this point, all the momentum I felt when it came to optimism about injuries and coming back, it's just not there anymore, because it doesn't matter about the injuries when your 2 top guys I don't believe in. It's just that simple, and I know I keep talking about Doug Pederson and Carson Wentz, but when you talk about franchises that succeed, I bet you talk about their successful head coach and their successful quarterback. And when you have both of them not being successful, you're in a horrendous spot. And I look around the league, right, and I look at these coaches that are succeeding, and they have a ton of success year in and year out. Mike Tomlin and Pete Carroll and Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay and these coaches that, they have this new element of, they're different sections. So Mike Tomlin's been around for a while. He has his concepts. Kyle Shanahan, McVay, they're that new identity. They're in that new young core that's starting to transform the league in their own way. Andy Reid has his new crew in Kansas City, and he committed to running the ball a couple weeks ago. We were like, what the hell is this? They got a ton of speed. They have Pat Mahomes. He has his philosophy. What is Doug Pederson? Yes, they made the playoffs the last handful of years, and it's possible they make it again for another year in a row, but we can't be blind to the fact that context should be valued there. And, 6 wins and winning the division, you know what? You made the division, but there are 2 billion questions that need to be answered and figured out because it was such a bumpy ride to get there. You gotta ask the question, what does Doug Pederson really bring to the table when you look at the other coaches around the league? Would you keep Doug Pederson for what he does bring, which is keeping the locker room together and the chemistry, if you hire an offensive coordinator that calls the plays? If you strip the duties of calling the plays in the future, is that okay to keep Doug Pederson here and you just have somebody else involved? I'm not against it. I'm just asking the question. I like to look around the league and compare what we have to other teams. Well, what is Doug P? What does he bring? What's his philosophy? How does that relate to where the league is going? I don't think it does. Too vanilla. And he can't read the game. How can you call plays and not understand the flow of the play calling?
This is John from Harrison, Delaware, man. Somebody's going to have to come on here and try to back up Carson, so I'm going to try to do it, man. Look, this is a guy, the interceptions really have not been a problem until this year, man. And when you go back and you look at it, it's like a defensive ESPN top 10, man. This guy's making crazy interceptions, diving here, diving there. Now, look, I understand it was windy last night, but this isn't the only time it's happened to Hightower where he loses the ball. You look at guys making these plays, these corners making these plays. If they make the plays, you should be able to make the plays too. If he keeps running instead of looking up and completely losing the ball most likely would have dropped right in his breadbasket.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I'm a Carson Wentz defender. I'm a Carson Wentz fan. I'm definitely losing trust in him as the weeks go on here. But, wow, no, I can't do it. You had a point early on where you mentioned, this is the first time in his career where the interceptions have been a problem to this degree. Very valid, and that's why I even brought it up. This is the outlier of his career. You haven't seen it over the 4+ years be this bad. But I don't see it changing because of what I'm hearing from him and what, more importantly, I'm seeing out of him. He's doing it over and over and over again, and I just feel there's no way the coaches aren't telling him, right? There's no way. It's sort of like the crowd that would claim that Brett Brown didn't tell Ben Simmons that shooting the basketball would help him. Of course he told him. Anybody with eyeballs knows. Well, this coaching staff definitely has talked to him. Now, has it been to the degree that it needs to be? I can argue probably not. But if I'm going to see Wentz do it over and over again at this point and nobody's stopping him, is he that stubborn? We heard reports about him in the past. Is he not a good guy to be around? I know it seems crazy because of his religion and how he is with praying, and his personality is not like a douche. He doesn't come off like a douchebag or arrogant. But when it comes to his play, he's clearly stubborn. And I think you got to look at him and go, dude, wake up. Wake the hell up. Do you want to fail? The reason why this team is 3-4-1 is because of you. I made a podcast about a week or so ago, and I asked, why are the Eagles in the position that they are in? Why are they 2-4-1? I gave you a couple options because there was a debate in my group chat about it. I said simple, it's Carson Wentz. If Carson Wentz played better against the Bengals and the Washington football team early on, tack on 2 wins to where they are, they're a 5-3 football team. The answer is Carson Wentz.
There's plenty of takeaways to come away from this Eagles victory, but the number one takeaway has to be this right here.
Dallas sucks! Dallas sucks! Dallas sucks!
Abhorrently awful, disgraceful trash.
I mean, we didn't play well at all. Carson Wentz, I thought, played like utter for the majority of the game, but we played well enough to beat this crappy team. So screw them, and we're first place in the NFC East still. So go Eagles and screw the Cowboys.
I don't know if today I can have that type of excitement. If I can have that type of motor about Dallas sucks and all that. Because we do that. We do that. They're on Ben DiNucci, right? Like, we expected nothing from the Cowboys offense. Like, that's exactly what we thought. We saw what we thought would happen to that team because they're flat out bad. I don't know if I can fist pump Dallas sucks and get all excited like that. Just me personally, that's how I feel, because I'm more upset and devastated with the product that I saw out of the Eagles. Every Sunday at this point, it's a miserable watch. You don't get excited. You don't get pumped up. You don't enjoy sitting on the couch at Sunday, 1 o'clock, 8:25, whatever it is that week, and think to yourself, I can't wait to watch my team play. You think, wow, I need to sit through hell. Wow, this is torture. And the fact that that's where my brain goes, it takes away all of the enjoyment out of Dallas being as pitiful as they are so far this season, and in reality as they are over the last handful of seasons. So, look, we have so many more Anytime Hotline calls. You can call in 856-442-9805. We will react throughout the week to more of these phone calls, without a doubt. So if you left a message and it was not played, don't worry. I will react to more, no doubt about it. We have a lot of Eagles to talk to throughout this week and the bye week. On top of that, some Sixers news with the press conference with Daryl Morey, so be on the lookout with that as well. I need to let you know about Orbit Energy and Power. With over 20 years of experience in the solar industry, they are home to your solar experts in residential and commercial projects. They are dedicated to making sure that your project is completed easily and properly by using high-quality materials and trained professionals to get the job done right. They even take care of all the permitting and fees right there in the office. They also provide water purification systems, backup energy services, battery storage, and more. All their information is down below. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time.